Welcome to the Not Superheroes Just Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be present for our kids, and combat generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I'm Shawn. Hope you guys are having an amazing, blessed day today, wherever you're at. Again, like I always say, right, make sure you subscribe, share, tell a friend. You guys know how much it means to me, just the different feedback. So I definitely thank you guys for that. Now, with that being said, I'm excited because I have this amazing gentleman. I actually met him through, I think his name is Sinclair, right?
Yes, right.
Sinclair. So eventually, too, I definitely want to get Sinclair on here. But he has a thing called Healing Fathers, which is amazing. He's doing amazing things. And I actually met Mike on there, and just hearing his story and his maturity, and I'm always willing to learn and hear from others. So I was like, man, it'd be great to have you on. So I appreciate you, taking the time out for me today, Mike. How you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here. I love what you're doing, and just a short time that we were able to talk to each other and spend some time together. I appreciate your story, and I also appreciate what you're doing for young fathers out there. As an older father and with grown kids, like I wish I would have had resources like I'm starting to find now as a more mature father.
That's dope. So what I like to do, icebreakers.
Sure.
And so since you do comedy,
Yeah.
which people don't, but we'll dive into that. Since you do comedy, how long have you been doing comedy now?
Well, it's so I've been doing comedy. I've been performing since I was in high school.
Okay.
And so like when I was like, I don't know, 13 or 14 years old, I had some real good friends that were into theater, and they were big time performers, and they were doing
Yeah.
big shows, and they could sing and they could dance, they could do all this stuff. I was always just a funny, good looking one. Uh, but so I had to work on different things, different skills, because I didn't have the same skills they had. But like I would go to their practices, I would go to their rehearsals, and I kind of got hooked very early. And so I started doing like backstage work in theaters, like probably 13, 14 years old, just, moving set pieces and working on the set and painting and building and doing all those things. And then one day I had decided that I wanted to be on stage. I was moving up set piece on stage. I was like, why am I not acting? And then so that next year, I think it was my freshman year in high school, I started taking theater classes. And then it just kind of evolved from there. I did theater in college, and I've always been a comedy nerd and just love comedy. And so it was a natural progression to kind of send me through comedy as a young adult.
So, which I love, because I actually was going to ask you the background of that, but you already answered this. So my icebreaker though, I like to do. So I want to ask you either one you want to answer. Was maybe a celebrity or someone you were surprised that you end up meeting through maybe your comedy, or what I've seen at times is, right, at comedy shows, people in the audience sometimes want to be the show, right, where they want to heckle you or they want to, right, and so you have to be sharp. Like I've seen it, plenty of times where the comedian just destroys them, right? So either one, either story. Do you have a story for either one of those?
Sure. So I don't have a celebrity story per se, although I've had some pretty cool celebrity encounters. I did, I don't know, the end of September, I opened for Tom Arnold. I don't know if you know who that is.
Oh yeah,
but he's Roseanne Barr's ex-husband. He's been in a bunch of movies. I just watched Austin Powers the day. I forgot he was even in that.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of cool, and that was a neat experience because it was definitely like the biggest stand-up comedy show I'd ever done, opening for him, and that was a cool experience. And then heckling, ironically, I run a weekly show called The Heckle Room, where I encourage people to come heckle me and all the other comics. And really the way that was born, as a comedian, you do these things, they're open mics, right? And they're basically, it's more for the comic than it is for an audience member, right? Audience members sometimes we'll be in like little itty bitty bars, and there's people just there just to have a good time and drink beer and have fun, right? And they're like, man, these idiot comedians are over here doing comedy, and I'm just trying to, enjoy my time off work. So there's like 3 or 4 people at these open mics that we go to, and it's more of a thing where we can rehearse talking into the microphone and listening to our jokes come back to us, and it's a rhythm thing, and you learn what it feels like to be on stage and things like that, right? It's a training ground for us. So, but sometimes people get upset and they're like, man, shut up, quit talking, whatever, they heckle us. And I would watch these comedians, we're performing for 4 people, nobody's paying attention to us, and they're just like melting uncontrollably because they there's somebody heckling them
Yeah.
in this 4-person audience, and they can't continue and they can't keep moving, and so they were falling apart. And so I was like, man, we need a training ground for this, just for this part.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
happens all the time, right? Almost every show that I do, there's somebody that talks in the audience, right? And it's a matter of being comfortable enough in your skin and being comfortable enough with your material that you can kind of bounce around and talk to those people and get them to hopefully get on your side is the goal. But definitely not like screaming and yelling at them and getting mad at them. That's not the number one approach, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're human beings and they're just trying to enjoy their evening out, right? And it's our job as comedians to entertain, and we forget that. And so what I love about my little room, it seats like 60 people, and it gets real aggressive because some of the comedians get involved and we have fun doing it. But it gives them that practice of like dealing with those hecklers and what that feels like.
That's dope. Honestly, I was just thinking about that right now. Like, yeah, there is no, you create that space because you can't really prepare for that, right? Like, yeah, you can maybe have friends or family like joking, like you're trying to rehearse and they might give you a little pushback, but it's not the same, like literally live in action, right? Where you're like, I have no clue who this stranger is,
Yeah.
and they're coming at me. So that's crazy.
And I don't know what they're going to say, and I don't know what they're going to do. And
Yeah.
I always say that humans are one of the original wild animals, right? Like we don't know what humans are going to do sometimes.
That's
Just like you don't know, you find a dog on the street, you don't know how he's going to behave. Sometimes
That's
you don't
true.
know how humans are going to behave. And so it's fun to like intentionally put that in your way and do
Yeah.
that, so that it's like practicing karate or anything else. Like jiu-jitsu is cool now, right? Like if you get jumped in an alley, you just pray that those jiu-jitsu skills that you've been working on, they're going to kick in, and you're going to be safe. And it's the same thing for this.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. So, like, for you then, when was it? Because I know we talked a little earlier where you was talking about, you did sales and things like that too. But when did you realize, like, hey, I can really do like this comedy stuff, right? It's not something I can just do every now and then. Like, I can really do this. When was that, I guess, moment for you?
I was kind of I was forced into a situation. I was doing family-friendly improv comedy, and basically what improv comedy is, you make it up on the spot, which is another amazing skill to have.
That was one of my favorite shows. I don't know, you remember, what was it, Whose Line Is It
Yeah, whose line
Anyway?
is it anyway?
I used
Yeah,
to love that show.
it definitely made improv popular. Drew Carey and all those guys are great. They're very funny. But so I did that for a while, and I was part of a troupe, and the owner decided he was going to leave town, and there was a core group of people that we were like, man, we really like this. We weren't getting paid for it yet, but we were a core group of people that did it together. And the guy leaving town was like, hey, if y'all can figure it out, I'll sell it. But I gotta go. And so I was the only one that had any money. And so, and I don't have any money, but like I had enough money to be able to do what we needed to do. And so I ended up buying the theater and buying the whole comedy troupe.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. And so I don't think it was like one of these things where it was like, hey, I think I could be a professional comedian. It was like,
Yeah.
you're a professional comedian now, go figure it out.
Yeah.
And I was doing stuff that I had no idea how to do or what to do, and with our community that's surrounding us, like we built something together. But it was at that point where I was like, I got to figure this out somehow, because now I got a building to pay for, and I've got rent to pay for, and I got to pay my performers. There was a lot depending on it at that point. Which, when it becomes a business, it's a way different experience than when you're just a comedian. It's so much harder and so much weirder because there's so many other pressures on you.
Yeah. But that's amazing though, because right, I feel like you could have ran from that, and you was like, hey, you know what, let me get this building right, and figure it out. So that takes a big leap of faith, man, and you didn't run from it. So man, that's crazy.
It was a huge leap of faith, but like I said, I had a good group of people around me and a great support system, and I was working full time, and they kind of ran it, kind of supported it until it started making money. For a long time, it was a really expensive hobby, is what it was. It wasn't even making money. It was like, I'm a professional comedian that pays to do comedy, rather than getting paid to do comedy, and so, but we eventually figured it out, and it was fun.
And that's the part that they don't tell you, right? When any of those things, right? Because something like that is in the entrepreneur lane, right? In business or whatever. So, you see it online or something. It sounds great. Like, hey, just sign up for this and, you'll make $1,000 or whatever, right? So, like, for you to be to kind of go through that rough patch before it kind of really started to benefit in the ways, right? Where you weren't spinning all the time, right? So,
Yeah.
but I want to ask you then, so how has your upbringing and even like your journey on fatherhood, how has that shaped your sense of humor?
Man, there was a guy growing up. So when I was growing up, I didn't grow up with a father, and so that I always had like these little my mom was really good about like finding friends, fathers that would kind of mentor me a little bit, or guys in the church, or things like that that would kind of mentor me. And I remember this guy. I don't know that I've ever even told him this, but he was an older gentleman. He was my mom's age, maybe a little bit older. Um, he was one of my first mentors at church, and so his name is Steve Dorner, and he just kind of I still think of him as a father figure to this day. And, he would always do dumb things. Like he was one of those guys that would like do that trick, and I can't even do it, but it's like that trick where you like take your thumb like that, and you like make it look like your thumb came off, and like tell me all these silly dad jokes, just to make me laugh. And I thought, man, that's really fun, right? And it was always like a highlight of my day when I saw him, because I knew I was going to get a good joke and he was going to make me laugh. And then as I got older, I realized it was a really good way to meet ladies, was to be funny. And so I use that to my advantage.
Yeah.
And it's also probably a little bit of a defense mechanism, right? Like when we're growing up, we all have been picked on in some form or fashion, and we all choose our way to to defend ourselves. And some guys use their fists, but I have really soft hands even to this day. Like these hands have never seen a day of work in their life, right? I definitely don't want to smash them on somebody's forehead. I wasn't. Like Michael Jackson, I was a comedian, not a fighter, rather than a lover, not a fighter. I used everything I had to not get in any fights, and really to this day, I've never been in a fist fight before. Yeah,
It's
the
like,
closest
I'll make you laugh.
you what?
No, I
Yeah,
said they're like, hey, no, let's fight, let's go outside. You're like, you know what? Let me make you laugh real quick, sir.
yeah. And let me diffuse the situation. And honestly, like throughout my career in sales and being self-employed and being in small business and doing all these things, my sense of humor is what's gotten me around. It's really, and I think it is a little bit of a trial and tribulation scenario, but it's also like, man, I found this thing that works with my personality, and I'm good at it, and it helps me.
Yeah.
It helps me to connect with people, and it helps people to kind of put their defenses down, right? Because if I'm in an escalated situation, whether it's in a sales situation or verbal altercation or whatever, immediately I go to softening it with a joke, right?
Yeah.
Which sometimes is amazing. Sometimes it can bite you in the butt and makes things worse. But for the most part, it's a great leveler, and kind of helps people to realize that, hey, this isn't, it doesn't necessarily have to be like this.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, because I know sometimes I'm guilty of that, where, you know, something I shouldn't be smiling about, I'm smiling about. Like it's just one of those things. Like I'm not, you know, and luckily for me, my lady understands that with me, so like she kind of ignores it. Like, but or like I'll tell a joke, right, where like trying to lighten up the mood or whatever. So I was gonna ask you, because like you said, like basically it's like a defensive mechanism. You know what I mean, that you use at times. Like has that ever gotten you in trouble before in your relationship?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I spent most of my time in trouble.
Mm,
I am recently divorced, and I'm sure we'll get to that part of the story. But like in very serious places, I was always in trouble because I was the one not being serious. And I can remember a couple times, like growing up, one of my ex-wife's favorite uncles, excuse me, died, and so she was going to speak at the funeral, and so I was in charge of the kids. I have two kids; they're 2 years apart. They're best friends, right? And so we're all sitting next to each other in the pew, and it was a Catholic funeral, right? And so like I'm cracking all these jokes about like getting up and getting back down and praying and getting back and getting down, all these things. Not being like disrespectful to anybody, it's just me and the kids, right? Like, however. And so we go to get in line to take communion, and when you're Catholic and they don't want you to take communion, you cross your arms like this, and they give you like a little blessing or whatever, and you go on. And so we're standing in line, and everybody's got their arms crossed like this, and so I got my kids like doing the Macarena while they're, doing the line, and my wife's up on stage, because she's gonna speak at the funeral, and she's just like beat, and really mad. But me and the kids had fun, and we
Yeah.
but it's and then I can remember another specific time where my daughter was probably going through some emotional changes
Yeah.
going from a preteen to a teenager.
Yeah.
I remember her being in her bunk bed and like crying about something and being there and like trying to console her, but just thinking how ridiculous it is that she's like crying over whatever she's crying over, right? But I'm just thinking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking like, man, in 5 years from now or whatever, this is never going to affect her. This isn't, it's not going to be this big of a deal and all the things. And so that like kind of made me start like smiling, which wasn't a big deal because she like kind of had her head down and she was crying and
Yeah.
I'm just kind of having my own moment. And then she looks up and catches me like kind of giggling about it. And she's like, are you crying? Are you laughing while I'm crying? And she's like, get out of my room. Just
That's
so.
what you got here. No, I'm just thankful how amazing you are, and you're gonna get through it.
But in the moment, it was not okay.
Yeah.
It was not okay. And so, like, I like to think, obviously I'm a responsible adult and things like that. But I
Yeah.
like to take life as, I like to take it as much fun as I can.
Yeah.
There's so many things that make us be serious that, like, if I don't have to be serious, I don't want to be.
No, true. And the sad part is when you did a little hands up on the chest like an X type of thing. The first thing I was thinking that I'm glad I wasn't there clearly because I was thinking I would have been like Wakanda forever. So it's so thank goodness I wasn't there. They were been looking at me like what? So what was I going to say? Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. So yes, you did mention obviously it was I'm sorry, you and your ex got divorced, and I was going to ask you because you're I'm sure a lot of times you're trying to smile, you're trying to tell jokes and things like that. So what was probably the toughest adjustment when when either when you were going through the divorce or got finalized, and just like I guess that emotional day-to-day thing, because I'm thinking about not just for you, but I'm sure it affect the kids. And then and again you're someone that like you like to have fun, you like to tell jokes, you like to smile, but obviously I never been through a divorce, but I can imagine it's hard to smile during those trials.
Sure. Yeah, it was very hard. And actually, right as my marriage started to come undone, that's when I started doing stand-up comedy,
Mm.
ironically.
Wow.
And I can tell you this, like the community of stand-up comedy, the local community is so good that literally like I was going to comedy events trying to be funny, but mainly just to be around these people. Like they were so accepting and so good to me that yeah, like so my divorce was finalized in July of this year. We got separated in January of 20.
Okay.
And so that whole time was kind of starting to deal with those things, but then my comedy career was starting to take off, and so like I would literally like spend the days when I wasn't working just bawling my eyes out and crying and in so much pain, and then being like, it's okay, I'm gonna make it through this, I'm gonna be all right. And then I would get up and I would go out at night and try to do comedy, and it taught me a lot about myself as far as like I'm going through one of the most painful things in my life, but I'm able to get on a stage and not necessarily talk about it because I haven't formed this whole like identity around my divorce and like made all these jokes about. I'm not quite there yet, although they are slipping out, so they're on the way. Like my divorce will be funny soon, but it's not right. It's not right now, and so like literally like trying to just like curate jokes and get on stage and like just feel happy for a little bit. And being around these people and trying to feel happy a little bit. And sometimes I'd get up there and I'd like no personality, no like people were taking sharp things away from me, right? Like keep everything away from him because he's very depressed right now. But I was still on stage and I'm still like just part of something. And I think that really having that thing of like being able to take some things light really, really, really helped. But on the flip side of that, I kind of realized also, oh man, I use these moments to also deflect, right? So like it was this really helpful, cool thing that was like, oh man, it kind of warms my heart a little bit. But then realizing, man, now I know like I'm sarcastic, I'm I talk out the side of my mouth sometimes. I don't, necessarily always say the things I mean, right, in a joking
Yeah.
way, or like very passive aggressive, and realize that that definitely like put a strain on my relationships, and that definitely like because I was deflecting that way, I was never absorbing. Like it was. I had this realization that a deflection is literally a deflection. Like you're taking something, you're like, get it away from me.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing with my jokes. And so none of the things that my family was telling me was really hitting. And so the hard part about that is like, okay, well, why was I doing that? And then I kind of walked myself back through my life as an adult and then my life as a child, and like, what am I doing, and why am I doing this to the people around me, and why is this so hard for me to accept whatever it is that they're telling me? And
That's
so
the. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I'm right there with you. I didn't mean to interrupt. It was more so I was just thinking too. Like it's good that you had that community of other comics or comedians, but I guess the negative part at times, right, is like it can help you deflect from actually dealing what you were feeling at times and trying to process and trying to okay why, which it sounds like you've done now, but at that time probably why do I act this way, why do I make these certain jokes or respond in this manner. So that's big.
Yeah, it was huge. And so it's hard because being a comedian, first of all, I don't have many feelings. Or I didn't have it. I've now found my feelings. But like we use it, we use insults and things with each other as a sign of love, right? And in my career where I actually paid the bills, I was a car salesman for a long time. I was in management, and I equate that to like basically the same thing as being a stand-up comedian, because you're talking, you work with your mouth more than you work with anything else. But then it also like you you're in community of people that are similar, where it's like, okay, I'll just take these little jabs at my friends and this is fun for us. But then I'd go home and I'd jab my wife and I'd jab my kids, and it wasn't the same. Their love language is not insults.
Yeah.
An insult is an insult for them, right?
Yeah.
And so like I have a very good relationship with my kids, so they know that I love them. But I think that a lot of communication things could have been cleared up a whole lot earlier had I not been such a smart aleck.
Yeah.
And for me it's just natural. So like something comes at me and something's already on its way out before I've even really processed what's come towards me. And so I've already done the damage before I even know what I said. With a grown man, that's a different conversation than I have with a 12 or 14-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And that was always hard. My kids understand me more now, but I think very early on, had I known stuff, I think I would have maybe I think I was a good dad. So I don't want to say like I would have been a better dad. I probably would have been a better dad, but like but it like I don't know, I think our relationship would have been stronger had I realized what I was doing, because the intention was never to hurt my kids or my wife, right?
Yeah.
That's just the way I talk, like it.
Yeah.
But it was lost in translation for sure.
That's crazy you said it, because that's something I had to learn myself, because that's something my lady used to point out to me. Like I've gotten better with, because I still do it with other people, but now I don't do it with her. I used to just like blurt out whatever. She's like, do you really don't care? You really just think what, and I wouldn't think that it's bad. Like I'm like, no, I just said this, but like I didn't mean it in that way, right? But it didn't matter because I already said it, and so yeah, that I definitely can relate to you on that. Now I wanted to ask you as well then, so how was it when you guys, you and your ex, I guess, broke the news, or however, how did they take that? Were they like, hey, okay, we had a feeling this was gonna happen, that's okay, or were they kind of upset about it? Like how did they handle when you guys told them, hey, me and mom is splitting up?
Sure. Well, I want to make one more point before we leave that other thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do want to say this, like, we always hear that term, like, words matter, right? Your words matter. I never realized how much words matter. You know what I mean? Like, and like, because it comes in and goes out, like, I process it faster than most people, right? So like, when I'm using words, I never felt like I was being damaging, because that was my love language. But all they saw was the opposite of that. And so, I always knew the term word matters, but like that term, like literally echoes through my head every day now, that words matter. And it is literally changed how I react to people and how I talk to people. And I've now literally been able to, this is not just my personality where it's like, oh, I'm just that guy that's just witty and I just, fire right back. Can this person, not necessarily equipped to handle it or whatever, but is this person going to be okay with that? And I'm more conscious about something before I say it. I give it another split second and try to determine what it might do on the other end before I say it. I'm still not great at it, right? I'm still not good at it. I still say
But you're learning.
yeah, I still say stupid stuff all the time, right?
Yeah.
But now I have enough cognition to go, oh, crap, that was too much. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
right? And I go and I rebuild it real fast. And like, hey, I'm still, especially with my kids, like, hey, I'm still like working through this, and I'm sorry. And I've been able to mend some of that. And
So you're saying
my kids don't hate me, but
no, I was gonna say. So you're saying sticking, what was it? Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. You're saying that's a lie, sir?
that's a lie. That is a lie. That is someone that is hardening their own skin to not, inflict that damage. Yeah, absolutely. I was indoctrinated with that term, with that saying. You know what I mean? And so were you. Like we as kids, we used to all say it to each other, and all that is pushing down the pain. You're not saying like your words aren't gonna hurt me because I'm not gonna let them, but I'm literally just pushing that pain down. And I can speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else, but that's definitely what I was doing. And that's why I think it is such a defense mechanism. Like it is pushing that pain down, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hurt you back,
Yeah.
So, and as far as the other question, you asked me how my kids took our divorce. They were ready. My daughter was relieved. So my kids are both adults.
Okay.
I have a 24-year-old and 22-year-old.
Okay.
And the 24-year-old had already moved out. This was last year. She's been in and out of state going to school and things like that. And so she's been close to us sometimes and then other times not. And her time away, she came back and she's like, yeah, y'all aren't healthy. And so when we said we were getting divorced, she's like, well, good. It's going to suck for all of us, but like, I think it's better for all of us. And so, and when she first said that, I was like, I cannot believe, that she would say that. But then I kind of reflected back and like, as I peel back the onion, as they say, the onion just like keeps unpeeling, like it keeps going.
Yeah.
And so when we first got divorced, I was like, man, these past 2 years have just been real hard. I can see, why that happened. And I was like, oh wait, the past 3 years were pretty hard. Oh wait, the past 4 years were pretty hard. Oh wait, we've been doing this for a long time. And so, but it took like being out of it, and it took my daughter saying, well, good, I'm glad. Like it took all of that to be like, wait a second, why is she happy?
Yeah.
And she just wants to see her parents happy, and she wants to see us not fight anymore.
Yeah. No, I can understand that for sure. As a child, right? You want the best for your kid. I mean, I'm sorry, your parents, right? Even if it's one of those things, and for her to be, mature in that and understanding, like, hey, I love both of these people, but I feel like they'll be happier separated, right? Because there's too much going on, and that's why I want to ask you. So, how like for you going through the divorce and all that, like, do you feel the divorce changed your outlook on like relationships or what love is for you?
No, I don't think so. It's interesting because we didn't choose to be married. We chose to be married, but we got pregnant very early before we got pregnant before we were married.
Okay.
And so we didn't meet the traditional way. We didn't get married the traditional way. Nothing was traditional about our marriage. And so like our love kind of grew backwards. Like some people are like, oh man, they have it all worked out. They're like, okay, we're gonna get married when I'm 21. We're gonna have kids when we're 22. We're gonna, and they do all that, and I was out there living the wild life, and so, I got my wife pregnant, and then I was raised without a father, and so I wasn't gonna have a fatherless kid. So I knew I wanted to be in their life, even though I wasn't ready for it, and so. We moved in together and said, let's try to make this thing work. And then we got married. And so I think because we did it that way, and then even like getting married, like I wouldn't say I wasn't in love with her, but like I was definitely like doing the next thing to take care of my kid. Right. And so like our love grew throughout our marriage, and we kind of talked about this a lot. Like we weren't in love and then got married. We got married and then we found love.
Yeah.
So like now that I'm out here now, to be quite honest, dating's not necessarily on the forefront of my mind. I want to focus on some other things,
Yeah.
including kind of rebuilding myself and figuring out what my identity really is. Because I
Yeah.
got married when I was 24 years old, right? Well, actually, I guess I got married when I was 22 years old, and my focus was, providing for my family and
Mm.
climbing the corporate ladder. And so when I lost all of that, I got out and I was like, I don't know who I am,
Mm.
because my whole life's been built around supporting this family and making
Yeah.
sure that they get everything they want. At 46 years old, and I lost my career and I lost my wife, and had to like, I've never been to prison, but I feel like that's kind of like what I'm acclimating back into the real world from, right? Because
Yeah.
I was in a career where I worked 70 hours a week behind a desk,
Mm.
um, and then I got out of the real world and I was like, this feels so weird. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. And
Mm.
so I couldn't find my way around town. Things were super weird. Like things were bizarre. And so like the more time I spend alone, the more I realize that I don't really know like what makes me happy and
Mm.
what makes me click. And like I know I've got comedy. I love that. Right? Everybody's
Yeah.
like, man, it's so cool you do comedy, but like sometimes that's a job too. You know what I mean? Like you work a full time job and then you leave work and then you go to a bar for 4 hours to go make people laugh, and it sounds fun, but it's like, man, now I'm home at midnight or 1 o'clock. I may not be drunk because I don't drink that much, but like I'm so tired, I'm worn out,
Yeah.
and it's a secondary full time job. But it's as I'm doing all these things, I'm realizing that, man, that thing that I did 20 years ago doesn't necessarily make me happy. What makes me happy
Mm.
now? What kind of, and like when you lose everything, you start to realize that, or at least I did. I realized that, okay, when I do this again, I want to do everything that I want.
Mm.
And so, and when you include someone else in that, and you're like, man, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to. Well, now you have that other person taking into consideration. And so, one of the things that I've really enjoyed about this newfound freedom that I've found is that like I'm getting to do stuff that I've always wanted to do. And I don't have to take into consideration whether somebody else is okay with me doing it, or whether
Mm.
I got to be home at a certain time, or I've got to
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm not just out there like, some guys get out here and they're just out there doing, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I think I'll go to the park and hike today. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think I'll take the dog on an extra long walk today, and like, I'll get out of the sun. But like, it's stuff like that where it's like, man, I've never had that kind of freedom before.
Mm.
And so I'm not ready. I'm not ready to jump out of a. So my wife and I were together for 25 years total, and every day of my life was spent considering what her or one of our children wanted or needed. Like, I'm taking this little extra time to just kind of being selfish. I don't think is the right term, but like literally focusing on myself and figuring out what I want and what makes me tick and what makes me happy.
I think you have the right to be a little selfish now though, because now your kids are older, right? They're grown. Obviously, you're there anytime they call you. Unfortunately, you and your ex-wife didn't work out, so it is just you, right? And it's probably different being home, coming home by yourself basically now, right? No kids, no wife. So, but in that, it sounds like you're doing some self-reflecting, where it's like, okay, what do I like? What makes me happy? Because I look at just listening to you as well, and even when you shared a little bit, just how you grew up. I know your dad wasn't around. I don't know if your mom had, got married or whatever the case is, but I look at it like you didn't have someone show you what a healthy marriage looked like, right? You didn't have someone to be like, hey, no, you know what? Yeah, it's cool to tell jokes, but this is the time to be serious. Hey, you know what? As a man, you have to do this, you have to do that. And so that's things you had to learn, right? And so just giving yourself that grace, which it sounds like you are doing, like, why was I doing this? Where did the missteps come from? So the fact that you're doing it now, of course we can beat ourselves up like, oh man, but the great thing is like your kids are still around. Your kids love you. They're not like, forget you, dad, and it wasn't perfect, of course. And you might have been, which I say all the time, like as people, you're either, or no, I say three. There's three categories. You're either a great spouse, a great parent, or it's very rare you're both,
Yep.
right? You typically have to work at both, and I say that being someone that I can admit I was a way better parent than the spouse, right? And so that's something as well that I don't feel like gets talked about and something you have to learn, right? Because at the end of the day, yes, we love our kids, do the best for our kids, but making sure our spouse, our wives, right, is the ones that, are good and take care of. Because when our kids get older, they're going to leave us, right? They're going to start their own family. They're going to be focused. Hey, Dad, yeah, I know you want me to watch the game, but actually, I'm doing this with my kids right now. Like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, right? And it's just gonna be you and your lady. So yeah, man. I just wanted to at least, I guess remind you might already know, but just remind you and salute you. And that is like, it wasn't obviously easy, but you're going through this journey right now, and now you can help your kids that much more. Hey, this is what your dad did. Like I see some of the stuff you're doing. I did that, so I just want to give you a heads up. Obviously, as you know, your dad wasn't perfect, but let me tell you why I used to do this. Like, oh, shoot, that's why you did. Okay. And I didn't realize I'm actually doing the same, right? So
Yeah.
I just want to salute you in that, man, because you're doing the work, bro, for sure.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It hasn't been an easy road. It's something where like, obviously my kids mean the world to me, and like that's the most important thing for me is that like we get through this, and our relationship is intact, and they mean the world to me. They know they mean the world to me. But it's hard when you realize that your parents are human beings. And they come
Yeah.
off this pedestal, and you just realize that they're just another human out here just trying to figure it out. You
Yeah.
know, it it all the work's important for me, but it's more important that I get to the end of this and realize that that I know that I have my kids' support and love,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
do. But I want them to know that I wholly love them and like want nothing but the best for them.
Now, what do you want your kids to remember you most, or I should say, what do you want your kids to remember the most about you? Right? Both, no, yeah, just remember about you as a father. And I say this, years from now when you're 110, right? And then you pass away or whatever. Like, what is something, you want your kids to remember about you?
Sure. When I first started when I first found my passion for my career, and I started like making money and like started making like more money than I thought that I could ever make probably. Was able to provide things for my kids. I remember having a conversation with my wife then and being like, my kids are never gonna live without. They're not gonna ever have any. They're not gonna do without anything. They're gonna have anything and everything that they've always wanted in their lives. And I did without for so much stuff. And they're just never. And I think then I wanted my legacy to be like, my kids got everything they wanted, and
Yeah.
they were able to accomplish all these things because dad opened the doors for them and was able to create some magic for them. And as my kids got older and I tried to like push them into business and come alongside them and give them all this help that I didn't have, they didn't want it.
Mm.
They wanted something different, right? Which
Mm.
is good for them.
Yeah.
And so I would say now I think my legacy, I want to be is just my love for them and
Mm.
whatever they do, and just in general, like I want to be
Yeah.
known as a caring, loving person. Uh, Growing up, I wanted to be a veterinarian. Like I wanted to take care of animals,
Mm.
and then I got into high volume sales, and it changed me as a human being. You know,
Mm.
when you get into that kind of sales, your demeanor changes and nothing matters but being successful.
Yeah.
You know, and so I feel like I brought my kids alongside me well, but I don't know
Yeah.
that I was the most loving and patient all of the time. I just didn't have the bandwidth for it when they were growing up.
Yeah.
So now in hindsight, I want them to remember me as loving and caring and generous and all the things that we think of as when old men die, right? Like you literally smiled when I said those things, right? Like those things make us happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing to be. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's it.
That's dope. So it sounds like you should have been a veterinarian. I'm just kidding. No,
I,
but
I wasn't like I was never like academically motivated. Like I thought my love was going to get me through school. I don't know, but I was never going to be a veterinarian. I didn't have the fortitude for it when I was that age.
it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah, what happened? And I needed something different.
So what advice would you give to another dad, right, that might be either recently divorced or struggling in that transition of divorce, right? Just from what you gathered and learned and things like that, like what is something you can maybe share with someone that is, in that transition right now?
Sure. I would say find community. I went looking for. Well, I don't even know that I went looking for community. I think community kind of found me,
Mm,
and I think it was definitely like it was serendipitous, right? Like I needed community, and so like find people around you that are strong and can support you and genuinely care about you. Like I found new community. But what I also found was my closest friends came to my aid.
mm,
And not like circle the wagons and everybody kumbaya and hug and everything.
yeah,
It was always like, hey bro, you okay? Like, you all right? Need anything? And so had I not had that, had I been, I was already, because of the way that things went down, I was kind of already on my own because it was the kids were grown. But then
yeah,
my daughter moved back in with my ex-wife, and so like I was literally on my own, and she had her own built-in, she had her family around her,
yeah,
and that was hard. And so like there were days where I would where my house is physically like 10 miles away from everybody else, and so I literally felt like I was on this island by myself.
mm,
And it was community from friends that wasn't necessarily like always them coming to get me.
yeah,
Sometimes it was like, hey, I need you, like come get me. And I because I had those kind of friends, I feel like I probably um, started healing a little bit faster and started feeling a little
mm,
bit better, because I had that love. Guys that I knew really would do anything for me,
mm,
even though they have their own families, even though they have their own spouses. You know what I mean? Like you need those people in your life that you can call and say, hey, the house is burning down. I need you to come home.
yeah,
And so I'd say community. And the second thing is my faith in God. So like if you're religious, go to your church.
mm,
Go to your church. My church was huge in helping me to. They were very loving in the fact that they came and like physically hugged me and like just
yeah.
prayed with me and said, hey, I'm not dying. This isn't the end of the world. It's going to be painful, but there's more to live for than
Mm.
just this thing.
I love it, bro. I love it, man. So, well, before we close out, well, one, I actually want you to plug in. Where can they check out some of your shows, bro, and
Sure.
follow you and all that good jazz?
Sure. So you can follow me on all my socials. It's Mike Danley. On all my socials, I'm real boring like that. I make it real easy. But I believe in living off my name and not getting some weird stage name or whatever. But yeah, so I'm a professional stand-up comedian, excuse me, and I perform all across town at all the local comedy clubs. I always post stuff on all the social medias and stuff. And maybe someday some real fun stuff will start to come out about previous life and stuff like that.
That's dope. I love it, man. Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna make sure I put in his social media and all that stuff so you guys can check him out. And I'm gonna make sure too when he does have a show, y'all, I'm gonna share it on my story and stuff so y'all can check him out.
Yeah, man.
I gotta go out. I gotta actually. I'm saying I gotta check you out too as
You
well.
do.
But yeah, bro. I always like to give, real quick. I always like to give my guests their flowers. So again, man, I appreciate you, just being transparent and sharing with me when you didn't have to. I don't take that lightly, and also, it doesn't probably mean much coming from me, but I'm just outside looking in. I'm proud of the growth. I'm proud of the work you're putting in, man, which is absolutely amazing. And you're able to, share your knowledge and help the next person. Obviously, make sure you help your kids, of course, too. But, it says, God uses all things for his good, right? All things. So even though obviously the relationship didn't work out like you wanted to, divorce is not fun, but there's going to be some good that comes from it, right? And it looks like it's already starting with you just figuring out what is Mike like, right? Like for so long, you've been trying to make sure you're providing for everyone and trying to have that identity of I need to be successful, I need to be successful, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that, to okay, I know Mike likes to laugh, I know he likes to make people laugh, likes to tell jokes, but what else? What is things that I didn't realize? Shoot, I enjoy fishing, I enjoy, right, whatever it is. So
That's right.
I just want to salute you on that, man, just on what you're doing and the the self-discovery you're doing for yourself.
Cool, man. I appreciate that. And back to you. This is an awesome platform. I think it's cool what you're doing for other fathers, and you know, you're doing the right things by uplifting other men, and that's kind of how you and I met was through a program where men uplifting other men. And we talk about that all the time. Like, there is not that community out there for us. It's literally like, I would say probably what I went through and what I am going through is literally a midlife crisis, right?
Yeah.
And I would say, that the programs that we're starting to get introduced to, like the Healing Fathers and all of those things, are amazing places for men to come and go, oh man, like Shawn's going through this, like I'm going through that.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's going through that. I mean, it helps us realize that, man, there's other men out there struggling, because it's, you get in this place, and I don't want to speak for myself, but like, where you feel so isolated and you're just working and you're just trying to provide, you're trying to do all this stuff, and there's, if you look up and you say, hey, I'm struggling, people look at you like you're crazy and you're weak. When if they would just come by and go, wait, you're struggling? Wait, so am I. Let's help each other, right? Now you got two people working on two problems and helping each other out, and then, man, maybe a third guy comes around, and then all of a sudden you got 5 or 6 or 7, and everybody's helping each other get through these things, and it's not such an isolating experience where you feel like you're just all by yourself and experiencing. A bazillion people have gone through divorce before I did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's common practice, but it feels like your heart's being ripped out. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
And but then when you talk to other men, they go, hey man, like, it gets better in a month or 2. And hey man, I kind of did this when I was going through it. Or maybe talk to your pastor, or have you gone to counseling, or hey, you just need a hug, right? Like, when you don't feel so alone, so many things that are so overwhelming get to be so much easier to deal with.
Yeah, no, that's true, man. And shoot, hey, that's a mic drop on that one, man. I love that. Yeah, man, no, I agree, and that's one of the many reasons why I started this and doing a nonprofit and stuff. But no, you said it all, bro, right there, man. And so again, I appreciate you coming on, and and I hope this helps whoever's listening, watching. And be able to uplift them, and again, go to Mike's shows, get some laughs in,
That'll be funny. I know it wasn't funny in this interview, but I'm funny, I promise.
yeah, absolutely. So definitely check him out for sure, guys. But with that being said, you don't have to be perfect, but you always have to be present. See you guys on the next one.